Okay, so here we're going to look at amortization, which is paying off loans. And so we have Erin, who uses her student credit card and puts $1,000 on it to be repaid. But she could only pay the minimum payment of $25 per month. And the average interest rate for a student credit card is this much interest per year, 19.8%. Crazy town. To generalize, typical credit businesses balances between 0 and 1,000 have a minimum payment of $25. So this is pretty real. Over 1,000, you have to pay 2% of the entire balance. But if it's under 1,000, you always have to pay $25. So let's see what happens here. So to determine the number of months to pay off the credit card. So this value here, this is what we're asked to find. Okay, so we know that the interest rate is 19.8. The present value, well, it's 1,000. And it's a plus 1,000 because it is in my pocket, or rather Erin's pocket. The payment comes out of my pocket, so it's negative, so it's $25. The future value, well, we want it to be paid off, to be 0. We pay each month $12, or 12 each month, so there's payment periods per year is 12. And this is set up to be just compound once per year. And we pay at the end of the month. So imagine you get the money, and then at the end you have to pay the interest. You don't pay it, you don't put the payment, you don't get the money and then pay it back immediately at the beginning of the month. That wouldn't make much sense. So determine the number of months to pay off the credit card. So if I consider this, if I go to apps, and it's the finance app, in my TVM solver, I'm looking for N. So let's replace these values. I got 19.8. The present value, as I said, was 1,000. And so if you do this kind of a question on a test, you have to write out this table yourself. And granted, I've got it all set up for you nicely, but you have to write it out yourself so that we know what values you're plugging into your calculator. And I'm going to make this at the end, and then I go back up to my value, and I go alpha solve. And I know it's going to be then, N is going to be 62 months. So if Erin is paying $25 for my 62 months, I'm going to multiply by 62. In total, if I quit this, if I go 25 times 62, she pays in total $1,550. She only had a $1,000 loan, and so she paid an interest. The interest was $550. So when should you use a credit card? Never, ideally. So really it's in emergencies. Okay, and how should you pay off your balance? You should pay it off as soon as possible. You only use your credit card if you actually have the money to pay it back, because paying this much interest is crazy talk. So you should always pay off your credit cards, and really only use them in emergency, unless of course you are trying to establish a credit rating, which is a longer story, but just be careful of them.